We went to this McDonald's where the theme was dialectic. Food with no way to buy it, counters with nothing to eat. Al Mansour took us there, shading his fringe from the radiation of profit alive in the eyes of Ali whoever who served our mayo. The secret of dialectic, he said, is song, the whole rendition of the voice, the modulation of the pulse and the swell in the jaw, the indefinable consinity of the rondelle. At that, we noticed the restaurant was spinning, and we inside it were spinning too, though not in our usual minds or of our own volition, so that we seemed to be standing still like jilted dates at the disco in the open Al-Rashid, scouring for love like maggots for sin. Al-Mansur turned, clutched at my arm, and fixed my eyes in his, uttering then what must have sounded in my brain like the following words, for these are what I remember. To understand the motion of this place, the leaps forward of the counters with nothing to eat, the sudden regress of the missing happy meal you came for, all the intransigent deluge of its shifting, you must search out what is imminent in its blur, get to the utmost fixture of its undomesticable and brightest shrine to what the idiots who serve here think is power, but you and I know is not power, but justice. Hasten away and discover this place. My comrades looked at me, with faces both inquisitive and blank, then looked at the spinning checkered floor, then sought to look again at Al-Mansur, but the cunt had gone up in a dervish of cloud and vanished like everything but the fillings in his teeth. An unusual aroma filled the air, half of burning and half of letting burn, lending credibility to the nostrils, but robbing it from the hearts and minds in the buns at the missing counter. You know what you have to do, said the comrade with lips, and I did. But the leg to the right of my left leg revolted. My left leg made to jump and flung itself off from my hip, landing in ketchup and straws by the bathroom. We took this for a sign, though hardly warranted by language to wallow in such impressionism and mythology that late in the meal. Pulling myself together, except for the leg, I cast a final grimace at my companions and started my hop to the imminent shrine. Weeks passed thus, as the counter help and the cleaners stood gaping with shut mouths, hoarding their precious saliva from alien looters, spectators of my advance across the fourth wall underneath us, the black and white reticulum of the spinning restaurant floor. In the distance, I heard my comrades begin eating each other. The food was that bad, but they ate their mouths first, so quickly threw up their hands. Still on my long and solitary road, I knew my way. Unchecked by any checkpoint, not nearly yet exhausted, blood slopping from my lonely hip in cursive wet balloons onto the floor where a twist of gut spat by some patron made a kind of mattress for life, I reached at last a place where all those years ago my leg had flung itself as I gambled on the progress incanted by Al-Mansur before he abdicated. Where had I come back to? Whose were these fingers that suddenly sprung from the end of my arm? Toward the door, pointing and playing their scales in the air. Whose leg was this that bore me to this question? Standing still, a prop to its thesis of hip, opposing its patience to the nihilism of its contrary, folded now at the knee in a crater of ketchup and straws. Mine, and mine alone, I said aloud, not at that moment counting on being heard by the staff, nor caring at last if I were. My laughter died away and the room was dark, and I reached for the door. A child inside that toilet, my mother waiting outside, my sister with her there, I stared in captivation at the graffiti penis surrounded by torn up and careful confession of neurosis or just desire, stories inscribed on the door, misspelt, as I knew even then, stories of being alone in the cubicle, when suddenly skinheads walk in and kick the door down, drag me out, make me shit in my pants, gang rape me, force my throat open with their cocks, one after another, talking above my head to each other about me, wearing their denim and boots, their white skin viciously tight over the knuckles, my tongue on the floor, and they sit on my tongue, cross-legged and tell stories, lounge at the poolside of my mouth, idle up to the roof and blue tack their noose to the rafters. Listen to a little front or lipid, some guts, you wait outside. A statue of Conehead, Los Alamos, good enough riddance. Reconstruct from them. Face 5, symbol union with teeth 4, symbol then cone line 8. That already is enough to fuck. But add more. Head 1 to lipid 7, kicked up like a brat's fuss to front 4, then the symbols of these the other way round. You can do with that anything that leaves no mark outside. Guts merge into sex. What numbers you pick up is up to you, the caliph of instinct. Reconstruct more than that. Contract cone front 1 to split open leg 8, shoving T-walls up the cracks of the Council of Union, tucking teeth 6 into a bed of guts 6 for the most straightforward match. If a door crops up in lung 5, kick face 3 at it. You just punt it like a football, thinking of birth and cocaine. The door flops down and then the confession slops out. Reconstruct still more of this arcade. Sex 5 stabbed up cone face 2 makes stability cream out the nozzle of lipid 1, spattering the Alsatian on lung 5. Grinding the logo for teeth 9 in oil, you embezzle more painlessly the tedious gist of guts 4 and co. Then just chuck it out. Nothing but pork and grits, the Pakistani mop in the Halliburton sweater snaps, feeling the eyes still in the head of his Kuwaiti manager drill into his back, in panegyric to the moral of his subcontract. I put my hand out to reach the door, thinking aloud, this is the way in foretold by Al-Mansur. Behind this door is the utmost fixture, the static refulgence to replace the lying sound we continue to file for, dying like lice in the petty aeolic scream of the hairdryer thrashing in lava and vomit and frozen shampoo. I pushed the door sideways. Nothing moved. Where my hand had been was now a solitary lip. The surface of the lip slid and greyed. I had a stomach pain. It was okay. Tear the door open immediately. What leg was that, paddling in the mustard and plastic spoons? Whose smile was it stenciled on the ribs of Ali Tumnus as he outstripped the cast of oiled Pakistanis, kicking the hinge down? Right of the opened door, in the puppet theatre of consumption in the restaurant's corner, hovering over the tedious jittering shrine, that canard of Al-Mansur the Greek, imminence for idiots, I saw a tiny wardrobe. Making as though to peel open its doors, I extended the lip on my arm. Little beads of sweat and icing fell from a dispenser on the wall into the basket, and I came in to recognise your back. You will do what, in my touch, castrated star, buffering indigestion with longing, stoned most nights either to add or delete varnish, dead accurate, a half-curious child pulling my own legs off and sailing them in sex and wine, sticking pins in a lung to make the scream storm out, playing records over records with a cube of tongue in slurs like a lap dance, treat verse like a pedicure, hand to look at, never touch, follows the black Primark. This end sets in, tallying up the shouted body parts and the sections of narrative, the aborted story of the trial run for a shaded career as an ORHA security detail, the spinning floor, all the commentary on Meatloaf, the love lyric, everything gone and done, and all too late to pull out now, but there to live and deal with, glowing in language unrelated to the speech fuzz in your thin and vestal throat. And how? Thanks.